much. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming to Greenwich, and I invite you, first of all, to do what I'm sure you've done before, is to raise your eyes to the heavens. This is the settlement of a long and divisive political question.
At the Royal Naval College in the shadow of Canary Wharf, Boris Johnson told his audience, including many ambassadors, the new settlement Britain wanted was a trading relationship with the EU that was not like Switzerland and nothing like Norway's.
Well, folks, I hope you got the message by now. We've made a choice. We want a comprehensive free trade agreement similar to Canada's.
As he spoke, the EU was explaining that if Britain wanted tariff-free trade like Canada, it came with more restrictions than the Canada trade deal.
Specific and effective guarantees to ensure a level playing field over the long term. That means mechanism to uphold the high standards we have on social, environmental, climate, tax and state aid matters.
Back in Greenwich, Boris Johnson sounded like he might be saying no to all of that.
There is no need for a free trade agreement to involve accepting EU rules on competition policies, subsidies, social protection, the environment, or anything similar.
If the EU didn't budge, then Boris Johnson said he'd settle for Australia's relationship with the EU. No free trade agreement and tariffs on goods.
The question is whether we agree a trading relationship with the EU comparable to Canada's or more like Australia's. And I have no doubt that in either case, the UK will prosper mightily.
Boris Johnson said he wanted to negotiate with the US on trade straight away and defended their farming industry on issues like genetically modified crops.
In doing free trade deals, we will be governed by science and not by mumbo-jumbo, because the potential is enormous.
And can I just put to you one quote from Michel Barnier this morning, who said, "You can't possibly be surprised by the requirements that the EU is wanting to put on Britain if we get to a Canada-style trade agreement. It's all in the political declaration, robust commitments because of geographical proximity. We're not Canada."
As for the political declaration, it makes it very clear that both sides will commit to high standards. And I think everybody here this morning will agree that I quite laboriously explained that in many instances the UK's standards are higher than those of the EU.
A trading relationship corresponding to Australia's with the EU. That is a new euphemism for no deal, isn't it? Because there is no trade agreement you can point to.
We have a deal. We have come out on the basis of that deal.
If we had a trading relationship along the lines the EU has with Australia, that would be a disaster, wouldn't it?
We would love to have a closer relationship with Australia.
Yeah, but the one that you have at the moment, that would be a disaster for Britain and for the EU, wouldn't it?
I couldn't possibly speak on behalf of Britain. It's British choice.
Well, as far as the EU is concerned, that's no deal, isn't it? Dressed up.
I couldn't possibly say that.
Do you think 10 years from now, Britain will be a bit more like the United States in the way it regulates, the way it runs itself?
Oh, maybe we'll be more like Great Britain. You know, I think both of our countries share so many things together. It's hard to predict, but I know that good things are going to happen.
Veterans of the trade scene said these talks were still in the opening, chest-beating phase, and we have a long while to wait before signs of movement and agreement can be detected or ruled out.
Gary Gibbon reporting. So how have Boris Johnson's words gone down in Europe? By chance, here in London today was one of Germany's most influential politicians from the ruling Christian Democrats, Norbert Röttgen, chair of the Bundestag Foreign Affairs Committee. Our Europe editor, Matt Fry, went to talk to him and started by asking about Boris Johnson's implication that he could settle for no deal.
I think it's a mostly a tactical rhetoric addressing the domestic audience. So I think in a way you have to take it seriously, what the Prime Minister is telling, but I think at the end of the day, after several months of negotiations, so let's say in summer, then there will be a clear alternative. Either we we are able to inflict harm on both sides, or we seize opportunities. So I think at the end, the pragmatic view will prevail.
But what gives you that optimism?
Because at the end, it will be boiled down to this alternative, harm versus opportunities. And why not sell opportunities and advantages to the people and to the citizens and to the voters instead of that harm and disadvantage?
But of course, everyone wants opportunities, and no one would admit to trying to impose harm. But this government is not prepared to take any rules from Brussels in the kind of cobbling together of its future trading relationship. So is it even possible to have that kind of compromise?
Yes, I'm optimistic. However, there is a danger if this rhetoric on both sides, very principled, very sharp, will prevail and endure for a long time. There is a danger that at the end of the day, both sides, or at least one side, does not see how to exit in a face-saving way. However, I think the key perhaps might be in the difference between a level playing field and we do not follow your rules. Of course, nobody expects the Brits to follow European rules, but a level playing field is something different.
There is considerable damage also to the German economy if this doesn't go well. Does that frighten people in Berlin?
Yes, this is the reason why we do not want to have disadvantage, and this is the reason why we insist to not engage in the mutual disadvantage imposing style, but into the different style, the adverse style.
Even if London takes a different tone here, I mean, the tone is very robust at the moment.
Yeah, I think we should nevertheless opt for pragmatism, staying cool and sober, and not orient ourselves to rhetoric, but to facts and the economic realities.
Norbert Röttgen, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.